Have you ever questioned your understanding of time? This elusive concept that dictates our routines, deadlines, and even our aging. In our day-to-day lives, we perceive time as a linear progression, a continuum that flows from one moment to the next, from the past, through the present, and into the future. This perception, however, is not an inherent understanding, but a construct shaped by societal norms and cultural conditioning. We've been trained to map our lives on this timeline, to set our watches and clocks, to chase after time as if it were a commodity to be bought and sold. We've been conditioned to view time as a constant, unchanging entity, an ever-ticking clock that waits for no one. This perspective, while widely accepted, can often lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of urgency. But what if our understanding of time is all an illusion? Meet Alan Watts, a philosopher who challenged our perception of time. Born in the English countryside in the early 20th century, Watts grew up to become a renowned author, speaker, and interpreter of Eastern philosophy for the Western world. He delved deep into the teachings of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, bringing forth their profound insights to a broader audience. Watts was not just a philosopher in the traditional sense. He was a bridge between cultures, between old and new, between the tangible and the intangible. His work has greatly contributed to our understanding of reality, consciousness, and the human condition. He urged us to question our deeply ingrained beliefs about time, urging a shift from a linear perspective to a more holistic, circular view. He believed in the eternal now, the ever-present moment where past, present, and future are one. Watts proposed a radical idea, that time, as we understand it, is an illusion. Imagine for a moment that time does not exist. Intriguing, isn't it? This is the very idea that philosopher, writer, and speaker Alan Watts wanted us to explore. Watts, a profound thinker with a deep understanding of Eastern philosophy, challenged our conventional understanding of time. He proposed that time is not a linear progression of events, but rather an illusion crafted by our minds. We perceive time as a straight line, moving from the past, through the present, and into the future. But Watts shook up this concept, inviting us to consider a different perspective. He introduced the idea of the eternal now. In this concept, there is no past fading behind us, no future looming ahead. Instead, all moments exist simultaneously. It's a bit like a grand tapestry, where every single thread, every single moment is woven together in the vastness of the present. Imagine that. Every laugh you've ever had, every tear you've ever shed, every sunrise you've ever witnessed, they are all happening right now. It's not that they have happened, or will happen, but rather they are happening in this eternal now. This perspective is quite liberating, isn't it? It frees us from the constraints of our linear perception, the constant forward march towards an uncertain future, the relentless pursuit of the next moment. Watts argued that the past and the future are merely constructs of the mind. They exist only in our thoughts, in our memories and anticipations. They are not tangible, not real in the same way the present moment is. The past is but a recollection, the future, a speculation. In this light, the present moment is all we truly have. It's the only moment where life is actually happening, where we can feel, think, act. According to Watts, life is not a journey with a beginning and an end, but an ongoing dance, a continuous unfolding in the eternal now. In other words, Watts suggests that all we truly have is this present moment. The more we try to control time, the more it slips away. This is a profound observation from Alan Watts, encapsulating the paradoxical nature of time. It's a concept that can be a bit difficult to grasp, so let's break it down. We, as a society, often find ourselves in a constant struggle with time. We're always racing against the clock, trying to squeeze more hours into a day, more days into a week. We're consumed by deadlines, schedules, appointments, yet the more we try to control it, to secure it, the more elusive time becomes. It's like trying to grasp water. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. This struggle, this sense of urgency, is often accompanied by stress and anxiety. It's the fear of running out of time, The panic when we feel we're falling behind. We're constantly living in the future or the past, rarely in the present. We worry about what's to come or dwell on what has been, and in doing so we miss the here and now. But time, according to Watts, isn't something that we can control or hold on to. It's not a commodity that we can store and use at will. It's a continuous flow, a river that carries us along. It cannot be paused, rewound, or fast-forwarded. It simply is. So how do we navigate this paradox? Watts suggests that we need to let go of our attempts to control time. Instead of trying to fight the current, we should learn to flow with it. We need to embrace the present, the eternal now, as he calls it. It's about being fully engaged in the moment, completely aware of the here and now. This doesn't mean disregarding the past or ignoring the future. It's about understanding that the past is a memory and the future is a projection, and that the only reality is the present moment. Watts encourages us to let go of these futile attempts to control time and to simply be in the moment. This is where we find peace, where we find freedom. It's not about controlling time, but about embracing the timeless. What if we could liberate ourselves from the constraints of time? Imagine a world where the ticking of the clock doesn't dictate our lives, where we're not bound by the past or anxious about the future. This is where mindfulness comes into play. It's a practice that allows us to step back and observe the world without judgment, to experience each moment as it unfolds, without the burden of time. Alan Watts often spoke of the importance of mindfulness, of being fully present in the now. He believed that this was the key to understanding the illusion of time. By focusing on the present moment, we strip away the layers of past regrets and future worries that often cloud our perception. You see, when we're fully immersed in the now, there's no room for the past or the future. There's only this moment, the eternal now. This is where all moments exist simultaneously, where we connect with the essence of existence. It's a state of being where we're not just living, but truly experiencing life. But how do we achieve this state of mindfulness? It's not as elusive as it might seem. It starts with simple acts like focusing on your breath or truly savoring the taste of your morning coffee. It's about paying attention to the world around you, noticing the small details that often go unnoticed. It's about letting go of the constant need to do and simply being. Mindfulness isn't about escaping time, but rather, it's about embracing the illusion of time. It's about realizing that time is not a linear progression, but a constant flow of moments. And the more we embrace this flow, the less we're bound by the constraints of time. This is not just a philosophical concept, but a practical tool for enhancing our overall well-being. By fostering a deeper connection to the present moment, we reduce stress, increase our sense of peace, and cultivate a richer appreciation for life. By embracing the present moment, we can truly experience the richness of life. How can understanding time as an illusion change our lives? This is a question that invites us to ponder the profound effects of shifting our perspective on time. When we embrace the idea that time is an illusion, we begin to liberate ourselves from the societal and mental constraints that often bind us. The ticking clock, the deadlines, the rush, these are all elements of a time-bound existence that can induce stress and anxiety. But when we understand that past and future are merely constructs of the mind, we start to free ourselves from these pressures. Imagine a life where you're not constantly haunted by the past or anxious about the future. A life where you can be fully present, fully engaged in the moment. This is the essence of mindfulness, the practice of being in the here and now without judgment. Such a practice can significantly reduce stress and improve mental health. Embracing the illusion of time doesn't mean we disregard the practicalities of life. We still need to plan, to work, to progress. But it does mean that we can approach these activities with a different mindset. We can see them not as rigid obligations dictated by the clock, but as fluid experiences unfolding in the present moment. When we live in the moment, we can truly appreciate the beauty of existence. We can relish the simple joy of a warm cup of coffee, the laughter of a loved one, the serenity of a quiet morning. We can find fulfillment and meaning in the smallest of moments because we understand that these are the moments that truly make up our lives. This shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. It can lead to a more fulfilled life, a life of deeper connections, greater joy, and authentic presence. So let's challenge ourselves to embrace this illusion of time, to live not in the past or the future, but in the present. Because as Alan Watts so eloquently put it, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance.